Previously on Podcast Without Pretense.
Guys, don't go without me. I'd hate to be left behind.
You know, I thought that you were right there. I thought you were right behind.
God, it's a good thing you turned off that fan this time.
Hi,
Hello.
Hola.
I'm Jonathan Strickland.
I'm Aya's actor.
I'm Eric Sandine.
And together,
Together?
we make a goddamn good cup of coffee.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, only together, though.
Apart, it's
I
just
think
not as...
I think I do, but I assume the rest of you do. Isn't that the thing?
Eric uses a French press, and not the coffee-making device. He actually presses on a Frenchman.
Yeah, it's true.
Are they around in New Mexico?
French.
Do you have them in... Yeah, is there a ready stock of them?
Well, it's really political pressure. I put pressure on.
He's like, this is for freedom. That sounds like a very Southwestern.
So far, we have been more entertaining, billions of times more entertaining than the movie we're going to talk about, Left Behind. I think.
Yeah, you know, I gotta. Here's the worst part about. I'm gonna go get this out of the way first thing. The worst part about this movie. Well, this is the 2014 Nicolas Cage Left Behind movie. The worst thing about this movie is it made me want to watch the Kirk Cameron Left Behind movie. Just the first one, because I've already seen the second one and the third one, but I haven't seen the first one. So
it got better ratings. It got better ratings than this film.
The Kirk Cameron one, yeah.
Which isn't hard to do, honestly, after watching it. But still.
So I guess first we should describe what it is we do and why we watch this movie in the first place. So Eric, why don't you take a swing at it?
So disregarding the fact that like history, Podcast Without Pretense, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, sometimes, a lot of the time, we watch movies and we try to see if we can watch them without distractions. Because at this point, everybody's distracted by a cell phone or a computer or an iPad or, you know, whatever, beer, significant others, etc. So we try to see if we can pay attention to something for a long time, and we pick a movie to do that with. That's about it, really. And so we pick crappy movies. We see how long we can make it through them, and we review them, see how they go. Nobody really wins, especially with a film like Left Behind, the Nicolas Cage version. No one wins.
And we tend to write down how far we got into the film. And at that point, you can invite any distractions you want into the experience. And also, if you really want to, you could just stop watching. You don't have to finish the movie. We tend to finish the movies because apparently life is just too long. And we need to fill those long hours with pointless viewing of horrible things.
It makes life feel longer, you know, because these minutes go by so slowly, and you're like, how is this 50 more minutes?
Yeah, let's talk about this. This Nicolas Cage Left Behind film is 110 minutes long. All right, so it's not incredibly long compared to, say, a Peter Jackson movie, but it felt like a goddamn eternity.
It did. How long did you get? Come on.
How far did you get?
Yeah.
All right, I got you know what? I didn't write my time down. I think I got somewhere in the 44-minute range.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
My time
I was waiting for something to happen, Eric.
Yeah, it takes a while. And that's why there was some conversation at about 10 minutes and 55 seconds when I was just like, "Oh, nothing's going to happen here." Yeah, I'm gonna go get a beer.
Well, yeah, thanks to you guys. Thanks to you guys saying on Twitter how nothing happens in this movie. I didn't even bother. I just had the movie on with my laptop on my lap, and I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna watch it like this. But the first time I actually checked the time is 8 minutes and 58 seconds in, and I'm like, what the fuck? What is going on? Why has it been like 10? It's only been 10 minutes. Right. It hasn't actually been 10 minutes. It feels like it's been an hour, and nothing is happening. But I do have my extensive notes, which actually last time I actually put on Pastebin. So maybe we'll have a link to that. So if you want to read these notes,
cool.
full of typos and shit, it's going to be available. And you can follow along if should you choose to read my rambling notes. But yeah, 110 minutes. I did finish the movie. I saw the whole thing. It's a movie, and
yeah,
I guess Nic Cage needed. I don't know what could Nic Cage possibly need that he was in this movie.
I don't know, another car. like a lot of them.
Did this buy a car, or did you get like a Corolla for like his niece?
I'm guessing Nicolas Cage commands a fair price for his appearance. Like, you notice there weren't really any other name actors in this movie, so you know where that budget went.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Leah Thompson I'm sorry. Marty McFly's mom was in the movie, but she was not in it for long. She got raptured. Actually, we should probably explain that the Left Behind series, for those who are not familiar with it, it's a series of books about the wake of events or the events that happened in the wake of the rapture, and the rapture being a particular interpretation of Christian theology in which it's the moment where God says, all right, all you folks who are good, decent people who believe in me and have been saved and all that good stuff, come on up to heaven, leave your clothing behind. It's all cool. All the kids who haven't had an opportunity to make their minds up, you guys get a free pass. Everybody else, sorry, you're going to have to stick around while the Antichrist gets his evil mojo on back on Earth for the coming apocalypse. So it's essentially the first event leading to the end of times. And we had previously watched Left Behind 2, the Kirk Cameron movie, because we thought it would be
superior film.
It really was. It's terrifying to think that is actually an accurate, honest statement. And we thought it would be funny to watch the second movie without having watched the first one. And then I went on to watch. Eric, did you watch the third one too?
Yeah, I watched the third one as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I as you didn't, did you?
I have yet to watch Left Behind 3. Okay. But this movie, by the way, I did like I'm going to spoil the ending. We're going to spoil the hell of this movie, by the way, if you haven't figured that out.
Jesus.
Earmuffs.
You can't spoil this, honestly.
I just love the idea, like the last lines in the movie saying, like, it looks like it's the end of the world. And then Chloe's like, no, it's just the beginning. Which is like, oh, we're going to have a sequel. It's like the way X-Men 1 ended. It's like, I'll be back for this. So
yeah.
That's not necessary. So I can't wait for Left Behind 2 in 2016 with Nic Cage.
It's the biggest making that up. It's the biggest cliche ending that you could possibly have, right? I mean, the best thing would have been for him to say, like, I guess it's all over, and the other person said, "Yep," and then credits. Because the whole no, it's just beginning. I'm like, are you fucking shitting me? That is the most bland cliche thing you could say. So anyway, just for our viewers and listeners and for Ayaz to know, Left Behind 3 is so balls out crazy. You owe it to yourself to see it, even if you never watched the other two movies. And granted, yes, it will be confusing because it'll be confusing even if you watch Left Behind 2, because it jumps so far ahead in the narrative and leaves out so much stuff that you're wondering, how did the end of Left Behind 2 lead to the beginning of Left Behind 3? So really, just skip it all. Just go straight to 3, because that's it's so crazy. It's entertaining. Which is the exact opposite of Nicolas Cage Left Behind, because if you haven't figured it out already, it's a slow, plodding, boring mess.
Yeah.
It's bizarre that you could turn something like all the good Christian people on earth disappearing simultaneously and spontaneously into a boring movie.
Yeah. Usually you guys have a lot more notes than I do, which is how I know this was a boring movie, because I have a shit ton of notes. Because
it's your turn, man. You got to go then. You got to say your notes today.
Please do. I didn't take any notes on this
rambling, though, so
that's fine.
let's see. We can start then. So we have Chloe the daughter, Cam Williams, some reporter. Okay, we're at JFK. Chloe is home. Her brother is bouncing off the walls. It's her dad's birthday. Party? Birthday? Whatever. He's stuck at work. Holy shit, that's a horribly edited family photo. I'm better at Photoshop than that. And we can spend a second here.
Yeah, let's spend a little time to talk about. All right, so this is a movie that has many special effects in it that range from passable to awful. And oddly enough, the most unbelievable special effect is a photoshopped family portrait of Nicolas Cage, his wife, Marty McFly's mom, the bouncing off the walls little boy, and the college-age daughter. And the picture of Nicolas Cage in there, you might as well have taken a picture of a different man and just pasted, like literally with tape, Nicolas Cage's head over the head of the stand-in.
That would be a better composed shot, because the Photoshop job is done so poorly such that I think Nic Cage has got like a heavy tan in the picture. But whoever the man is does not have a heavy tan, nor did anybody bother to blur the line. So it's just like this, like it's almost like the face is too big for the body, and it's very, very odd. And it's, you know, it's not like it's on screen very long, but it's just so unbelievably bad that you can't
like
not look at it.
It's like a 5-second pan shot. Like it's gone in a second.
Well,
and
but you pay attention,
but like
he looks at it. He looks at it, but he looks at it multiple times in the movie. We see it more than once.
Oh, that's right.
Did it come up more?
Because he's looking at it at the end too.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So
carry on, Eric.
Let's see. Nic Cage's. No, we're not there yet. Holy shit! Photo. Oh, right. So we're in the airport. Crazy lady. God is making shit happen. Chloe, why doesn't God fix it? Checkmate, crazy lady. Chloe doesn't acknowledge that. So she interrupts this crazy lady, runs up to this guy who's apparently a famous reporter for GWN. Is that the same name of the network, by the way? I think it was.
This is Buck Williams. This is the character. This is the odd thing. So in this movie, the main character really, I mean, if you consider it like, well, Nic Cage has got to be the main character, is Rayford Steele, who's a pilot.
God, such good names.
I know the names. This movie does not deserve the names. The whole time, I was thinking this sounds like the MST3K episode of Space Mutiny, where they just start saying things like "slab and tooth," you know, like that kind of thing, and like, "thigh McRun fast," and like they were just naming the main character over and over again. Same sort of thing with Rayford Steele and Buck Williams. The crazy thing to me is that in the Kirk Cameron versions, Kirk Cameron, who comes across as the main character, plays Buck Williams, the journalist. So these two different movies end up focusing on two different major protagonists. Buck Williams is a journalist who is walking through the airport and gets accosted by a true believer who ends up talking to him about God, and then Chloe, who is disenchanted because she has realized that her dad is skipping town on his birthday, and she has made special arrangements to come back home from college as part of his birthday celebration, is bitter, so she decides to pick a fight with the true believer. Also because she has issues with her mother, who is another true believer.
Right. And she doesn't. So, like, my note after that, she picks the fight with this true believer. She doesn't seem to acknowledge that the crazy lady is talking to the world famous Buck Williams. She doesn't acknowledge that at all. She just gets into a fight with this woman and then walks off. So, all right.
Well, you know, that's very much a kind of atheist tactic, right? Like, drop a bomb, and now I'm going to leave before you can respond.
Sure.
I mean, that's how we atheists behave.
Right.
I mean, we know our arguments don't hold any weight, which is why we have to bail as soon as we make them.
Right.
Yeah, and you make sure that you drop a bomb in an airport. It's always a great idea.
True.
Great language there, Jonathan.
Let's see. Nic Cage is a pilot.
This whole movie is a fucking bomb, and it takes place in an airplane.
Yeah, Nic Cage is a pilot. Is he banging the flight attendant? He took off his ring. Okay, he's banging the flight attendant. Chloe,
to be fair,
mom is crazy.
To be fair, in this version, he is not yet banging the flight attendant.
That's true. I don't know that yet. I'm just calling it as I see it.
That's right.
Chloe, mom is crazy religious or something, I guess. Cage gets caught flirting with some lady. Uh-oh. Mom, born again. We're really skirting around this whole religious thing very poorly. So there's at this scene in the movie, Chloe finally catches up with her dad because he's a pilot, Nicolas Cage. He enters. Chloe sees him flirting with the flight attendant. They're sitting. She grabs him, sit down to coffee in the airport. I think she asks about that at some point, but they have this discussion about mom and how, she got weird or something. And so we have this, this is actually 10 minutes in, by the way, when I cut off the conversation because I was so bored. It was 5 minutes of them trying to skirt around this, mom's really crazy religious and believes this rapture stuff is happening. You still shouldn't cheat on her, though, I guess. That's about what I got from this scene.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing to point out, kind of, one of the things I found very irritating about the crazy lady's argument is she's like, don't you think with all these natural disasters and wars that the end times are here? And I'm thinking, bitch, look at human history. When was there ever a fucking 10-year period when there weren't natural disasters and wars going on?
It's true. So, so after that, Chloe talks to her dad. He goes off to his flight. Really, all of this shit is still unrevolved. We're really early in. Cam, our, hunky photographer news guy,
Buck.
Buck, sorry. Isn't it Cam Buck William Buck Cam?
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, he just goes by Buck.
Yeah, I also thought it was Cam, and then he's mentioned he's just Buck.
I think Buck is his nickname, and that's what everyone knows him as.
So, he sits behind Chloe because he thinks she's cute. And of course, when you're leaving an airport, you randomly hit on people. It didn't really make sense what was going on here. Anyway, he sits behind her and she's like, no, don't really want to talk to you. I'm kind of dealing with this dad thing. And he doesn't let up, and the conversation leads absolutely nowhere interesting. So let's move on. In this universe, people fawn over Nicolas Cage for some reason. Oh, right. So
let's say it's the same in this universe.
Right.
For some reason.
So as Chloe's leaving the airport, she gets stopped by one of her dad's friends who works at the airport. He gives her U2 tickets. Chloe bought U2 tickets for her dad. Her dad's friend gave U2 tickets for her dad to Chloe. Chloe, who is leaving the airport, then gives the tickets to Cam, who's getting on her dad's flight, to give to her dad. This is very complicated. All of these people have just met.
Yeah, because of course Buck is on the same flight that Nicolas Cage is piloting to London from JFK. This is different from the Kirk Cameron version, where I think the flight originates out of Chicago instead of New York.
Yeah, it's the minor differences that really kill this film.
Yeah, the biggest minor difference that I think twice as much happens in the Kirk Cameron movie, and it's, I believe, 20 minutes shorter.
Yeah. All right, so let's just kind of skip ahead. So everybody's on a plane now. That's great. There seemed to be... Oh, right. I don't remember where I am in this part. Anyway, there seemed to be an unlikely number of small children on this flight. I do remember this part because they showed the pan shot of inside the plane, and it's just full of small children. I've never seen that many small children on an airplane at one time.
Can we stop for a second to talk? Let's talk about this airplane a little bit. This first class section has the most.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So you got your first class section, you got your coach section. this first class section has like the largest fucking chairs I have ever seen allotted to a human being in an airplane. These things are basically lazy boys. They're just absolutely enormous.
To be fair, in at least one case, the sense of scale might be off.
Oh, right, because of the dwarf. I was thinking about the old lady.
I was gonna
say, she thought the Frank Sinatra was on the plane. But
yeah. If you look at the characters who are in first class, my first reaction was, I have a feeling the producers went to central casting and then just said, "Fuck it, put them in."
It's not exactly like a bunch of rich, classy businessmen or something. It's like, okay, here's a grandma, and here's the guy that's with her, that she's senile, and there's a dwarf over here who seems like he's kind of a scuzzy guy. They've got the token Muslim guy. They've got a daughter and I think what's that?
Conspiracy theorist guy.
I think that's right. Is there Jordan Sparks? Is that the girl that's the one who pulls the gun eventually? Is that that girl from American Idol?
Is it?
Oh, no.
I can. Well, I've got IMDb open. You keep going. Actually, I think you're right. Yes. She played Shasta Corville.
That sounds about right. Sure.
We're gonna go with yes.
So we skip back to Chloe at this point after we're introed to all of these random people on the plane. And Chloe is going to talk to her mom, and her mom is telling her to be prepared. And here my note, because I'm just getting bored, is, man, fucking lemonade in the sunroom. I want some lemonade. Can I have hers? She's not even drinking it. She's just getting mad. Drink the lemonade, and she leaves it.
Yeah, this is where she comes home to have a conversation with her mom, and before long, her mom alludes to biblical stuff, and it sets everything off again. Oh, I think we're trying to recapture Ayaz because his video and audio were going up. Oh, there he is. All right, so you were talking about the first class cabin.
Right, so this cabin has the most enormous seats you've ever seen in the world. Even the coach section has like a really nice setup. It's like, it's so spacious. I just couldn't help but notice it, and my video's going again. I have no idea why. I'm sorry about this, folks. Anyway, continue.
Well, Eric had just talked about how the scene with Chloe going back to talk to her mom in the sunroom and then storming out with her little brother.
Oh, Raimi, that little fucking kid.
He wants to go to the mall. His acting is probably the worst of all the Steele family, I would say. Like, he gave some awful line readings. There was one line he gave, and I wanted to write it down, but I didn't take notes because I was just paying attention. But there was one line reading he gave that was just so wooden. I was like, you must be related to Jake Lloyd.
All right. What do I have? We're back in the first class cabin. Martin Klebob is mad, apparently. This girl's dad plays for the Jets. He's going to bet against that because he has some insider info. Cool. So Martin Klebob, who plays, oh, God.
Melvin.
There we go. Yeah. He's sitting next to these people on the plane. It really doesn't matter. Anyway, this woman and her child, the child mentions that her dad's a basketball player. Obviously, this guy wants to bet on it, so that's a bad thing. It's horrible, whatever. The child disappears anyway. So let's just move on.
I'm glad you said that it doesn't matter, because that's true for all the interactions we see in the first class cabin.
Every single one. Doesn't matter.
The only thing they're there to really set up is that a lot of the people aren't great people. And that explains why they were left behind. Whereas like some of the people in first class, like two, besides the kid, I think only two of them disappear. One of them happens to be the goddamn air marshal on board the flight.
And the other one is the old man.
The old man. And here's something else. I mean, not that I am a theologian, not that I am an expert on religion or as religious morals. I am far from it. I am, however, curious what kind of God leaves a senile woman who is incapable of rational thought, or she's senile. She thinks Buck Williams is Frank Sinatra.
Clearly, this lady has done some serious shit in her life, okay?
Yeah.
Maybe she's no different than that cocaine abuser that was sitting next to her, okay? Maybe that's what she did for years. And God just isn't having that shit.
How can you have a pass for all the kids who could be rotten fucking kids, but because they're children and they don't have the capacity, they get a free pass? But this woman who doesn't have the capacity doesn't get a free pass.
Listen.
Huh, God?
Mysterious ways, Jonathan. Let's just move on.
Thanks. But you know what? This movie uses that same excuse, and I have to say, fuck you, movie.
It's true.
That was the original title was "Fuck You" movie. I think that's a good
let's see. Chloe is taking her brother somewhere. Heartwarming music plays. Oh, they're going to the mall. That's great.
I also wanted to mention that the music in this, the one note I wanted to write down and I remember is that I thought that the score for this movie sounded like it had been lifted directly from the television series Wings.
Yeah,
which is appropriate.
It's roughly true. I missed a joke about brainwashing. I think could these camera shots linger any longer? I'm not sure what I'm talking about there, but that pretty much goes for the whole movie.
Or me.
This mall is having a breakdancing competition, and people are haphazardly clapping. Oh shit! Where did her brother go? Oh, nowhere. So early in the scene, he walks away. And she freaks out, and she's like, oh, no. So they went to the mall. There's a breakdancing competition. Kid runs away. Finds kid. Oh, shit. And then finally we get to the point where shit starts happening. So her little brother just dissolves into thin air. He's gone. So that's cool.
As do all the other kids.
Right.
So that you suddenly have these piles of clothing on the ground where children and a couple of other people used to be. I also want to say, I'm going to guess that all the breakdancers also disappeared because they were really awful breakdancers. And I got to think that they were spending way too much time in church and not enough time dancing.
Yeah. Let's see.
Can we stop? I want to stop here. Why on earth do all of these people have to be removed from their clothing and like their jewelry and everything? Like, isn't that going to be weird in heaven? I know that it's supposed to be like nice and everything, but wouldn't you feel kind of naked when you 85 million children show up naked with you? You're like, oh shit.
Ayaz, here's the thing. Ayaz,
yes.
Let me explain this because Jesus, I can't believe I have to do this. All right, so Garden of Eden. You got Adam and you got Eve. And before they ate of the tree of knowledge, they knew no shame. They knew none of that. There was no sin. So they were naked and happy, and we are returning to that state in heaven where it is beyond sin. Sin is not a thing anymore. There's no shame associated with bodies. There's nothing weird about it. There are no pervs in heaven. Also, you get a robe and a halo and a little harp right when you get in.
Walk in. It's kind of like prison. You walk in, they just they just take your stuff and they give you a new packet of clothes.
There's the delousing, right. and then you get a toga.
You don't get to hang out by St. Peter unless you get sprayed by the hose. That's the point. Right. Stay away from the pearly gates, you son of a bitch. We don't blame you, son. Anyway.
This episode's just gonna have to be called "We're All Going to Hell." That's what this one's gonna have to be.
We're all left behind. Isn't that the point?
Yeah, we're all left behind. All right, Eric, I'm sorry. We're interrupting you every 5 seconds.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. This is more interesting than this movie. So let's go on. Let's see. Where the hell was I?
Well, all the kids just disappeared.
Kids are gone. Back on the plane. Oh shit, the people are leaving and their clothes are all left. Bunch of naked people running around. Why do they think it's the captain? I mean, honestly, I don't know why I'd think at that point that it was the captain.
Right. So you get these people spontaneously disappear, and then immediately everyone's like, I want to talk to the captain. And I'm like, something would tell me that the captain, who's way up there in the cockpit, probably had very little to do with little Jimmy just suddenly spontaneously disappearing like that. And little Jimmy's clothing being left behind. Maybe there's a naked little Jimmy running around the airplane, but
So Nicolas Cage deploys the oxygen masks from the cockpit. Good call.
Well, first we have to mention that he was not in the cockpit when everything went to shit. He was
hitting on
hitting on the flight attendant.
Whose name is Hattie.
Yeah.
Hattie.
So we should also point out in the Kirk Cameron version of Left Behind, Hattie has become an important part of the United Nations. So she ends up being essentially kind of the right hand to the Antichrist.
Wait, you remember this shit?
Yes.
Oh wow. Okay.
Because remember in the Kirk Cameron movie, she is still trying to hit on the pilot. She's still trying to get Rayford to have an affair with her, and he's very sorry that he had ever initiated anything with her. So in the Kirk Cameron movies, she's a villain. She goes full on Disney mwahaha bad guy. And she's like, I am a slut and I'm terrible. I mean, this is her. This is not my judgment. This is how she's coming across. In this movie, in the Nic Cage version, you get the feeling that she was unaware that he was married.
Consequential. Yeah.
So she thinks that she's having an actual dating relationship with a pilot who's single. Right. That's the implication anyway. So very different version of the character in this one versus the Kirk Cameron series, because that confused me at first, because as I was watching, I'm like, well, boy, first I thought she was awful because she's kind of bragging to the other flight attendant about how she's going to hook up with the pilot. And then I realized later in the movie that she was apparently unaware that he was married.
Right.
So it just made him a bigger jerk.
Yeah. So anyway, he released the gas masks. At this point in the film, I just have to tell everybody, they tell put on your mask first before you help anyone else. That's it. Because the shot in this movie is literally everyone helping everybody else before they help themselves. Anyway, just a little, the more you know.
That's why they were left behind, these sons of bitches.
Right. They didn't listen to the damn instructions.
He doesn't just deploy the masks. He also vents, he opens up vents so that it lowers the pressure inside the inside the cabin. So it's not even he is in control, but he's doing it as if there is a malfunction on the plane. So it's not just a pacifier. If they don't put their masks on, they're going to pass out. And this was his way of preventing a full-fledged riot aboard the aircraft.
That Ray Steele, he's a thinker. Yeah, I love Ray Steele.
Something probably happens between this, but at this point, my next note is they're making this climb. They're making this climb over the other plane way more dramatic than it needs to be. Can't you see further than that with radar? Maybe not.
So in this part of the movie, the plane they are on, they see another plane, and Nic Cage has been trying to raise air traffic control or anybody for a while, and no one's responding. And he sees the plane, he tries to hail the other plane, and they don't respond. And he says, "You're on our same flight path. You need to divert." And the whole time I'm thinking, why don't you start to divert and tell the other plane how you're diverting your flight path? And instead, he makes the choice too late, and they end up clipping the other plane, which then spirals out of control and crashes. So obviously, the pilots in the other plane both were raptured. At least that's the assumption we have. And all the poor people who were aboard that plane died.
Clearly, that's not what happened.
God.
So I bet you that one of the captains got to stay on the actual plane. Everybody on that plane was like, "It's the fucking captain." He came out and was then murdered on the plane.
Because he didn't think to deploy the oxygen masks, right?
That's right.
That's what separates Nic Cage from a dead pilot.
That's right. That's exactly what happened.
Also, the reason why the co-pilot's no help in this situation is the co-pilot got raptured. He was one of the people on board the plane who was taken up to heaven, along with, again, the U.S. Marshal, the Air Marshal, whose gun is still helpfully left behind. So what's next, Eric?
All right. So,
oh my gosh. Okay.
Let's see. Chloe breaks into the hospital. Reason unclear. Oh, she's looking for her brother. He must have gone from the mall to the hospital. Why not?
Right. Yeah, sure. So he disappeared spontaneously. His clothes are left behind, and he must be in the hospital. She sees an ambulance being loaded up and immediately assumes it has to be her brother. Keeping in mind, everyone's going apeshit all around her everywhere.
I wonder what the cutoff is for kids. 16, 17, all the babies are gone. Oh, no.
Oh, by the way, there's some great shots of like parents they're at the actual like carriage and they're like on their knees crying about this. I'm like, there's a lot of shitty parents left apparently. They're just like human just wastes of space. Sure. And these kids are all gone and they're just crying there. I wonder at what point, like, this movie goes on for about like 6 or 7 years. I'm not sure how much time actually transpires within the 2 hours. But like, at what point you're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess little Ramy's gone, so gotta do this other thing. I mean, when do you start doing some like regular living? I guess I'm looking for that part. Maybe Left Behind 2's got that.
This movie only lasts as long as a flight halfway to London and back, Ayaz. That's like 6 hours. like here now we've learned something important about Ayaz. Like 2 hours in, he's like, well, life goes on.
I was just watching these people crying over their kids, and I was just like, "Come on,
I love that the one guy on the podcast who has a kid is the one who makes the comment.
Doesn't come on now. If you're watching the news and like in all of the world's children have left. And somebody's got to report this at some point. Like, hey, Mary, is your child still? No, he's gone now. Oh, she's gone too. Maybe you realize that something else happened.
Oh, or like, well, it takes like, obviously it takes a while for the information to come out because something that instantaneous, like this isn't a gradual thing. All of these people disappear simultaneously. So it's one of those things where you would imagine the first bit of reporting would be, what the fuck is going on? We don't know. Like, it would take a while for this, for people to correlate and find out that this is a global event and not something that's localized to a region. And that, I think, was reflected okay in the movie, actually. It's just that most of the characters aren't available to find out what's happening because they are in the middle of running around like a crazy person and can't sit down to find out what's happening on the news. There are a couple of moments like that where Chloe gets to see what's happening and realizes that it's happening everywhere. I think there's one point where Nic Cage makes a conclusion about it happening everywhere, but in the movie we haven't seen any indication that he would know that. And that's really weird. There is a point where he's on the radio and finds out that it's happening everywhere too, but it looked like he had already made that conclusion, and I'm like, is Nic Cage psychic?
Yeah.
The other thing is, like, most of air traffic control has been raptured. So, like,
what the hell's air traffic control? Very.
Or it's just that it's been overwhelmed. Like, you would imagine at least some people in air traffic control have been raptured, which would probably cause a bit of a commotion inside the towers. And you would also imagine that this would cause unparalleled radio traffic to try and communicate with all the various planes in the air. So I wasn't too bothered by that, although you would have thought you would have heard the opposite of silence. But yeah.
Let's see what else we got. He hits the other plane, starts leaking fuel, fuel's on fire. What are we gonna do? I don't know. What the fuck do you do at that point? Like, seriously, like, they're like, Buck Williams is in the cockpit going, what's happening? And it's Nicolas Cage gives pretty much the answer of, well, we just keep flying, I guess. So that
until we're out
happens.
of fuel. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh shit, the mom is gone because she was right.
Yeah.
Because Chloe ends up back at the house, I believe, right? Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, she goes back because she's hoping that her little brother, who apparently is not in the hospital. I had problems with her breaking into that hospital too. I thought that was a little weird. But anyway, when she goes back home, she is hoping that her brother is there because she's hoping he found his way back to the house naked, I guess, and then discovers that he is not there and her mom is also not there. Big surprise.
Her mom was naked because she was in the shower, and just her earrings were left behind.
Yeah, she was lucky.
Yeah,
like she wasn't even clothed. She was just like, "Oh, this is fine."
Well, she was up there wet.
So. Yeah, and that's a little bit of a social faux pas having wet hair in heaven.
Yeah, there's no shame.
Uh-oh. Ayaz is dragging.
No, I'm not.
Are you still there, Ayaz?
There you go. You're back.
Okay, all right. There's no shame in what?
There's no shame in being naked in heaven, but being wet, that's really not okay.
It's right out. Yeah, no. I mean, you'd think they'd give you a little more like leeway, seeing as how it's all in the clouds, and clouds are just condensate. It's just water anyway, water vapor. But no, those fuckers, man, they are strict.
I've heard about this cloud thing. Is that what it's all about?
That's where all your data is.
Yeah. Let's see. Blonde lady knows what she's talking about. Everyone went to heaven. Put down the gun. So I don't remember who pulls up the gun.
The athlete's wife.
The athlete's wife, right? And she's
like,
like everyone has stolen her child. Apparently,
yeah. She holds the gun on every single person in that plane.
She's of the mind that her husband has put everybody up to this. It's like, did he get to you? Did my husband get to you? And they're like, lady, we don't even know your husband. And what did we do exactly? Because her daughter is gone, and that's the end of the world again.
Well, she even believes that perhaps the plane had set down, that her husband had come onto the plane, taken her daughter. The plane had taken off again, and he had paid off everyone to pretend like they were still just in flight, which I think is only slightly less wackadoodle than the whole rapture thing. So,
fair enough. It's true. And so the quote about the blonde lady is this woman who is sitting there in sunglasses and hasn't talked the entire time, finally talks, and her monologue is about going to Christian summer camp and learning about the rapture. And everyone else has never heard of this concept on this flight. They're like, what? Hold on. So God might be just taking people? That seems legit. This seems reasonable. So we're just
thank Christ. Thank Christ for Rayford Steele, who is able to independently come to the same conclusion in the cockpit, and then terrifyingly relay this information to the flight attendant he's been trying to bang this whole time. Right.
And let's see. So, okay, why isn't the minister gone? Right. Chloe goes to some random church to talk to some guy.
Before we get to the preacher, I want to, as Ray Steele becomes self-aware that this is a movie, and he's like, okay, wait, here's the plot. I have my note here. my note here says, Hattie yells at Ray because Ray knows the plot. This was an act of God. And then my next note says, green screening is shit, because there's some horrible green screening in this thing. Just really, really bad. Now I've got the preacher thing. So go along with the minister and the preacher who didn't get raptured.
Yeah, no, that's mainly my note. Like, why is this minister still chilling here? And if Chloe is to have already accepted that the rapture is real, why would she talk to him? Because he's obviously not a good man. Like, at least by God's standards. I don't know.
This is also explored in the Kirk Cameron movies, because he's a major character in those.
That's right, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as I recall, he dies in the third one from poison Bibles.
Yep. Yes.
And I think he might be the only one who dies from the poison Bibles.
Yes.
I think everyone else gets the antidote for poison Bibles.
Absolutely amazing.
The poison Bible plot in that movie is one of the best things I've ever seen.
It's amazing. Okay. What the hell is Chloe doing on that tower? Oh, it's a bridge. Oh, she's got her phone. She just got a phone call just in time. Sweet. So we're led to believe Chloe at this point is going to commit suicide.
And she does not slack off when it comes to committing suicide, because a normal person would just jump off a bridge, but she climbs to the top of a spire of a suspension bridge to jump off the spire.
So go ahead.
Before she gets the phone call, okay? Here's what I got notes on this. A great something's happening. Chloe's at the top of a bridge, and cut back to the plane. She pulls out a Jesus fish out of her pants and starts talking to her mom, because mom must only be able to hear her up close, because that's why she's up high. Camera spins around Chloe forever. Now she's gonna jump from the top. Now, like you're saying, she looks like she's gonna jump into the bridge, not to the water, but she's gonna jump into the concrete and asphalt, because she's going for it. And then she gets her phone call from Buck, the reporter man, as my note says.
So what we haven't said at this point is that apparently Buck, in the cockpit with her dad, has been trying to call her on his phone this entire time, or most of the time. Listen, time in this movie is completely relative. We have no idea how long it is.
But they are conveniently unable to get a satellite link to their phones for just long enough for the plot to need it to change.
So yeah, she gets the phone call. I don't really have a note about what the phone call says, but she doesn't kill herself, so that's great.
Is it though?
Well, unclear. So now at this point, the plot point is they need a place to land the plane. They can't land at the airport for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm guessing, from what I remember, it was that there was too much congestion. There were too many other airplanes, and there were not enough personnel to get them off the landing strips and out of the way. So there was no way for them to go there. And so they give Nic Cage a couple of a potential alternate, but it's too far away.
Syracuse. So wait a second. Now he does say, so he can't get to Syracuse is where the alternate is. He says JFK and LaGuardia.
That's it.
Is there no mention of the Newark airport that's a couple miles west of here? Wait a second.
I thought the reason why he couldn't do Syracuse was that his plane was too big and that the landing strip was not long enough.
Yeah, but Newark,
that came up.
Newark is right there, and it's got a giant fucking airport.
Jesus Christ, Ayaz, that's in fucking New Jersey. You want these poor people who have already been left
in Newark?
They've been left behind by God, and now you want to put them in fucking New Jersey? Haven't they been through enough?
I guess I was wrong. And I would think if anybody was left behind, it'd be the folks in New Jersey, so they could fucking bring them to safety. But that apparently didn't happen.
The entire state of New Jersey is left behind.
I'm sorry, New Jersey.
Oh, gosh. We're so going to hell.
Let's see. Oh, sweet, a motorcycle. Oh, right. So at this point, Chloe's new mission is to find and clear a runway for her father's, I don't know, what are we going to assume this thing is? A 757? I have no idea. It's massive. So
it's whatever has Barco loungers in first class.
Right. By the way, can we talk about Chloe's amazing cardio? Because she gets down the spire in 2 seconds, and then she's running into town. She's you see her come down the spire. She's running on the bridge for half a second, and then boom, she's past and she's in town getting a motorcycle. I'm she makes good time. She's not even she's not sweating. She's not breathing heavy. But this motorcycle's there. And I'm wait, the motorcycle light's still on. The rapture happened a couple hours ago. That motorcycle might be dead by now because that light's been left on. Nope. Chloe's a lucky girl because this fucking motorcycle
actually, that's
had a good
true.
battery.
Motorcycle, yeah, right. The motorcycle battery, Whatever.
So in other words, I will buy the Raptor. I will buy the Raptor, but I will not buy this bullshit. That motorcycle.
And the former bike's owner's leathers are laying next to the bike, so you get the implication that the biker was in fact raptured. Also, I guess it's really convenient that she knows how to ride a motorcycle.
And she doesn't take the helmet, by the way. Another reason why she wasn't raptured. I got a bunch of notes why Chloe isn't raptured, by the way, so we're going to get there.
Okay, let's finish this up so I can hear that.
I'm just curious. I'm sorry, I gotta take a break because it just occurred to me, and I didn't think about it in the movie. Where the fuck does Chloe live? Like, where does her mom live where they can have that idyllic house with the big porch and drink lemonade in the sun, and she's close to JFK?
Jonathan, she lives in Jersey. That's why she wasn't raptured.
Okay. But her mom was raptured.
Her mom's not from Jersey.
Her mom's not from Jersey.
She's from Virginia. Duh.
Let's see. Landing a plane by phone seems pretty sweet. Why are they worried about clearing the road? The plane will plow right through that shit. Oh yeah, cement roller might be a problem. So we have 10 minutes of Chloe finding this random under construction street that she's now clearing by hand, kind of. She finds a truck at one point, right? So she's plowing shit away. What? Yeah.
Clearing by truck, yeah.
So she clears the street by a truck, and then we have this moment of tension because there's a cement roller, or what is the word for that?
Steamroller. Yeah, cement roller. That's right.
That, of course the truck can't move, so she has to get on it and start it, and that was the most exciting 5 minutes in the movie. She finally moves it. Great. God, he's been complaining about this landing zone start for like 15 minutes now. Oh, yeah. So there's just random dialogue back and forth where he's talking about, I can't land there. I can't see where it starts. I don't know. It was boring.
Yeah, it's essentially the pilot, Nic Cage's pilot character, is saying, he can't land at JFK. He can't land at LaGuardia. He can't get any further. He's not sure where he's going to be able to set down. And that, he's looking for a sign of where he can land.
Right.
And he isn't even sure if his daughter got the full message that he needs something. So he's looking out for something. He doesn't even know what he's looking for yet. He's just looking for something that could be an indication of a landing strip.
Right.
And the whole time he's keeping up this kind of dialogue with Buck about, this kind of sucks.
Which, by the way, if you're ever flying a plane during the rapture, looking for an explosion as your signal is probably not the best.
Yeah, there might be a few actually. Yeah.
But anyway, so she lights a flare and blows something up. There's like gasoline or something. Anyway, he goes in to land the plane. Of course, the landing gear doesn't work, so it's a nosedive. Whatever, who cares? It lands 2 feet away from this flammable tank. So we see like a giant flammable tank, and oh my God, it's really stressful that happened, but whatever. Everybody gets off. Last explosion.
I was really sad when they put the inflatable slide out and they start unloading the plane, and they're doing it as quickly as they can because they're in a dangerous situation. I was really sad the flight attendant wouldn't say, bye-bye, thank you for flying Satan Air. Bye-bye, thank you. Hope you think of us again. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The whole thing was pretty dumb. And of course there's the horrible visual gag of Melvin coming up. It's Melvin's turn to get off the plane, and he's uncertain about it, so he gets pushed off.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha.
And then my next line is the next one out yet? Like I'm ready for it.
Yeah, ready for part 2, which would be the second half of the Kirk Cameron Left Behind movie.
Right.
Because, like I said, I haven't seen the Kirk Cameron one, but I read the Wikipedia synopsis, and it looks like the resolution of the airplane problem happens halfway through that movie. Meaning that, again, The Kirk Cameron version packed in twice as much in fewer minutes.
Oh, so it totally gained that extra 2% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh yeah, no. If not for quality, at least for quantity of actual plot.
Right. Yeah. So Ayaz, you have a list.
It's only it's a paragraph based on what happens in like a sequence here. So it goes, Chloe rides the bike without a helmet. This is why she was left behind. Now she's trying to steal a car. This is why she was left behind. She's making a phone call while driving. This is why she was left behind. She's found a space for them to land. Chloe is now using her phone while driving. Kill her. That's what my notes say. So yes, I did have a list because she just does this in rapid sequence that she's basically like stealing shit left and right and just. I mean, just the Chloe character. Also, like when she finds Buck and Buck comes off the airplane, she like runs up and hugs him. I'm like, didn't she like rebuff his advances earlier today? Like, didn't she not give a damn about this guy? Why does she care now, other than like he's around? And also, wouldn't you? I'm really curious about this. If you were still there on Earth, wouldn't you be really distrusting of anybody with you? You'd be like, why are you here?
Well, to be fair, Ayaz, come on, you are confusing whether or not you're a good person and whether or not you get raptured. Getting raptured has nothing to do with being a good person. Getting raptured has everything to do with you believing in your heart of hearts in God and Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and that you have given yourself over to Him. You don't have to be a good person for that.
I was so hoping that somebody was going to believe enough during the course of the movie that they would just disappear, like
magically
a couple, like three quarters into the movie. They're like, "Oh, you believe? Oh, yeah, you can come."
No, Ayaz, you know what would have been awesome?
What would have been awesome that blonde lady on the plane who was like, "I was at summer camp and I heard about the rapture," and then
she was like, That's what it was. I know the rapture.
She was really a heroin addict, not a cokehead, but okay.
Oh, it's heroin. Excuse me, I don't know my drugs.
You see her veins and stuff, and it's clearly heroin.
I just saw the white powder. That's all I saw.
I don't remember this part of the movie at all.
She goes into the bathroom. She goes into the bathroom to get a hit, so that she can deal with the stress. No, but
to be honest, I mean, during the rapture, why not?
What I wish had happened was that in the beginning, inside the first class cabin, one of the people they're having a conversation. Like maybe it's a person sitting next to the Muslim character who says, "Yeah, I'm half Jewish, half Christian," and then the rapture happens, and only half of that person is still there.
Would you go down the middle or top and bottom? How would that work?
That's what I'm wondering.
I think it would just be the inside, so their outside would just deflate.
Right, because you don't need the outside. You don't need the outsides. You don't need clothing, and you certainly don't need skin. We'll just take your skeleton, and now you're good. It's good. I like that. Just a pile of goo.
So yeah, this movie was absolutely dreadful. It's dreadful in the sense it was just so boring. How can you make something where you would, first of all, we don't care about the characters. So since we don't have any, since we don't care about the characters, we don't care what happens to them. We don't care they were left behind. We don't care about the ones that were taken. The way they handled all the kids was so, like there were moments where I was like, okay, this is kind of believable. If I were a parent and my kid disappeared, I would be freaking the fuck out and I would be totally distraught. Especially if I had lost my kid and my spouse. That would have really freaked me out.
Well,
but
Nicolas Cage didn't seem that concerned about his spouse.
I'm not talking about Nicolas Cage though. I'm just talking about the random people in the world, right?
Sure.
So like that part was okay, but we didn't know any of those people. So you're like, well, yeah, that sucks that they lost their kid, but it sucks in the same way as hearing a news story about someone you don't know getting in an unfortunate situation. You are like, well, yeah, that sucks. I'm sorry that happened. But you don't have any personal investment in it. We didn't have any personal investment in these characters. We didn't care about them at all. So there was no tension there. And again, like if you think of it in the sense that Ayaz was talking about these are the people who are left behind for a reason. They weren't worthy of being raptured. Then you don't really care what happens to them anyway.
Yeah. The other thing is, like, as I'm watching this movie, I'm like, okay, I wrote this on Twitter saying maybe the other half of this movie is about the people in heaven. who are like, dude, where are we? What's happening? Because, this would be disorienting. Even if God himself or herself or itself, whatever you want to call it, shows up and is like, everything's cool. Now, everyone that's not here, they're a bunch of dicks. The rest of you guys, pretty cool. We're going to go over here, and it'll be fine. But, like, I would love to see that other half of this movie, because that's important.
That wouldn't be called Left Behind, though. That wouldn't be called Left Behind. And the movie is fucking called Left Behind, Ayaz. Well, that's not Left Behind. That's like, we're here. That would be the name of that movie.
It's the subplot. You can have a subplot that parallels the movie title. Excuse me if the title actually means that the entire movie has to follow it. I will say, let's see. Basically, your idea is like, it's Secretariat. That's the name of the movie. There better be a fucking horse called Secretariat throughout this whole movie. If anything happens, it better be about Secretariat. So,
well, no, the point being that the books are written from the point of view of the people who are left behind. They have no way of knowing. They have no way of knowing what their loved ones who were raptured, what has happened beyond that. They know that they've been assimilated essentially into heaven, but they have no way of knowing what that's like. That's supposed to be part of the whole tragedy of the story.
Why can't we see that? Fuck the people who are stuck behind, or left behind, excuse me. Stuck Behind's a different movie.
Stuck Behind is oh my God. I want to make a knockoff of Left Behind.
I think Stuck Behind might be the Rule 34
I'm pretty sure.
But anyway.
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure I've seen Stuck Behind, but I think it was Stuck Behind 4. So...
Anyway, I think that we could have seen both and have some creativity, since this movie was 110 minutes long and it never ended, apparently. Sure. And I don't know if there actually will be a sequel to this, but Nic Cage, did anyone notice that Nic Cage's acting range seemed to be extraordinarily limited, even for Nic Cage? He didn't get to be wild or like crazy. He was just like he shows up and he's like, Hattie, you did a good job. And he's like, oh, it's my daughter. I love you. It's like, but you're Nic Cage, man. You're crazy. Why aren't you like bugging out and like, my wife is gone and like my kid is still here? What did Chloe do? Oh, she renounced God. Okay, well, that's not so bad. It's like, and he knows why he's there. So like, there would have been something that could be interesting about this character, at least the portrayal. Like, Nic Cage isn't even bothering to be ridiculous. He could have been.
I think so. What I find really interesting right now is the fact that we're probably the only people on Earth who have seen the Nicolas Cage version of Left Behind 1 and not the original, and the second one of Kirk Cameron doing Left Behind 2. So we're actually in a very small niche right now, and I think that's very special, and we should stay here.
I hate to tell you this, Eric.
Son of a bitch.
The Kirk Cameron version of Left Behind is still available on Netflix, and it's Ayaz's turn this week, but next week it's my turn.
Oh, sweet.
Oh, it's my turn?
Wow. A bit of relief is good.
I'm gonna look up something while you guys try to find out why the following week we'll be watching. I hope it's Kirk Cameron. I'm so today I watched Kickboxer on Crackle, which I thought was Bloodsport, but it was Kickboxer.
They're all the same movie, right?
Well, here's why I say this, because at the end of this movie, at Kickboxer, I'm looking up stuff while I'm yammering, by the way, I'm killing time. Kickboxer at the end has a fight sequence with the main bad guy and Van Damme, whose name is Kurt, which name completely I've forgotten, that was his character name. And they're putting their hands in, well, they have like a glued up rope kind of glove thing, and they put it in broken glass. And then they fight in this underground fight, which if you have broken glass on your hands, you're going to get bloody, and fighting is a sport. So I thought that was Bloodsport. Nope. Kickboxer. Bloodsport's a whole different other thing. I think that one's about Frank Dukes.
You used a bit too much reason to determine the name of that film.
Well, I guess I overthought it. But Frank Dukes is the real life story of a guy named Frank Dukes who went out and I think he fights in the Kumite, but that's a whole other thing. Let's see. Does that bring me to Bloodsport 4? Is that what we're going to do? No. Not at all. I'm looking at my list.
He's just faking you out, fans. Just wait.
I do not. I
thought he was going to go. I thought he was going to go left. He totally went right.
Thunder and the House of Magic is happening.
Thunder and the House of Magic?
An abandoned cat is looking for shelter. Finds
God damn it!
I'm pulling an Eric right now. An abandoned cat looking for shelter finds a mystical house owned by an old magician and inhabited by an array of wondrous automatons and gizmos. This is the next movie. I've picked it.
How is this pulling an Eric? Is just any movie featuring a cat as the lead now pulling an Eric?
No, Eric, you went with a lot of family movies.
Yeah,
it's true.
Movie.
Yeah,
so
true.
I'm not gonna. Ayaz and I are kind of all over the map. Like we kind of gravitate toward horror, and then Ayaz gets a weird wild hair up his ass to do some Lifetime original movies.
That's true.
Which are harder and harder to get because I've seen so many.
Now, I gotta say, actually, I'm saying God damn it over and over because I'm like, it sounds awful, but its best guess for me gives me more than 4 stars.
For my PWP, 2.5, because my PWP account gave Left Behind a 5-star rating. It was such a pile of shit.
4.3 stars for me, with an average of 3.9. So it says I'm gonna like this movie more than the average viewer.
I've actually got a flat 3.9 on this one. So
yes,
yeah.
That's what I've chosen. It's not a sequel to some action movie. It's got no Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's got no Steven Seagal. If Steven Seagal or Austin are in this movie, I'm going to fucking love this movie. I hope there's a badass cat or an automaton that just like, that's why I do that. And that's the bottom line because
it's animated, right?
Kettles.
It's animated.
Yeah, it's animated. Can't wait for this one.
We haven't watched an animated movie in a long time.
I'm looking... I'm looking at the reviews.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking at the reviews of this, and they seem to really be fixated on the fact that the word "damn" is said 3 or 4 times in the movie.
Well, God.
And I mean, like, I'm serious. Like, the first review has that. The second review has that. A little bit further down, there's another review that has that.
So it's reviewed slightly harsher than Left 4 Dead, the Kirk Cameron version.
Here's a great one. The movie was adorable, and there were cuss words? Really? And when was damn such a bad word anyway? Take the N off, and it's just a normal word.
I thought, honestly, they were saying shit, fuck, bitch, but no, it said damn 3 times. In my opinion, there is no cussing. And they asterisked out those words.
I'm guessing there must be a there must be a review. Either it's a review that specifically calls out the cussing, or it's like one of those things where it's or it's one of those things where like the parental association did a review on it and mentioned that as one of the things. That's a possibility too.
It's rated teen for damn.
This movie is a lot shorter.
It's
at an hour and 20.
Yeah. And also, we can point out that it's okay because we're all damned now that we've done this episode. So a couple more damns ain't going to hurt us.
Anyway, we should look into the future next time on Podcast Without Pretense.
You didn't tell me the cat was played by Nic Cage.
Damn. There we go. Now we're even. Fuck off.
No one mentioned that he called her a cunt in the reviews.